Spaceballs was the brainchild of Mel Brooks, the comedy legend behind classics such as The Producers and Blazing Saddles, who co-wrote and directed the Star Wars and Friends sci-fi spoof. It's become a cult hit over the years, with many of its comedic clips and iconography being referenced by nerds for decades at this point. While I find the movie incredibly funny on all fronts from both its visual and language-based gags, the comedy alone isn't what makes it one of my favorite movies, though it is a big part. One of the major creative goals that Mel Brooks and the gang had going into making the Spaceballs movie was to sell it with legit presentation. That meant building elaborate sets, costumes, and special effects that rivaled the original Star Wars in its high-quality presentation. This helped further sell the silliness of the jokes and give the movie a grander scale than one might expect from a simple spoof. Hell, for the movie's post-production, the actual Star Wars studio helped out. In fact, George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars himself, was on board with the movie's premise, just as long as Mel and the studio didn't make any extra merchandise and toys besides the typical movie tickets and home media sales, because he didn't want potential Spaceballs toys to eat into Star Wars' lucrative toy sales, which was respectable and did lead to one of the best jokes in the movie with the merchandising scene. Another thing I like about Spaceballs is that I find its bizarro take on the usual Star Wars concepts and characters legit cool. The Death Star stand-in being a giant lady maid mech that sucks air from the planet may seem silly on paper, but they committed to the bit and it looks great. There's so many other great visual touches in this film that are meant to be funny first and foremost, but serve a secondary function in capturing the imagination the way a classic Star Wars film did. In Spaceballs, the whimsy and the silly can coexist. It's such a loving parody, not just from the good-natured fun of spoofing Star Wars, but taking inspiration from the pure craftsmanship of what made that original movie so beloved. I'd even argue the writing of the film has more to it than witty jokes to make it great. Giving the Han Solo stand-in Lone Star the main character role, portraying the lovable, scandalous rogue archetype who learns to open up to people as opposed to the naive and wide-eyed, sheltered but good-natured Luke of the original Star Wars films, creates an interesting change of pace for the main character's arc compared to the source material that makes it unique. This change is also better for a comedy film, as it lets Lone Star have more of a witty mouth to banter between him and his friends, like his furry buddy Barf or the reluctant Princess Vespa. The heroes bounce off well with one another as they journey throughout the galaxy to defeat the Spaceballs, the villain faction, not the movie. And lucky for us, the audience, the villains are just as funny as the heroes, helped by the legendary comedic actor Rick Moranis playing the Darth Vader stand-in Lord Darkhelmet, who I could say gets a lot of the movie's best lines, but I say that about every joke of this movie from every character, so I'm a bit biased. Again, this is just one of my favorite comedy and parody movies of all time, but it also might be one of my favorite sci-fi movies in general. It has all the production values and imaginations of its Star Wars inspiration, coupled with all the silly yet witty Mel Brooks sense of humor I love so much. It was really hard not to make this video just me laughing and gushing about my favorite scenes from the movie, because at that point, just watch the movie. It's gonna be on Tubi next month. So hot take, Spaceballs? Pretty funny movie. Special thanks to all my patrons, including Gillustrations, Coloro Bobby, Alex Dreaded Cypher, Zai of America, Mr. Falcon Punch, Riddler Randy, Titanium Rocket, Pack Jeff, and Jack Rocket.